Vasudeva. Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudiraye. Before reciting Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisance unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. By regular attendance in the classes on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Guruve Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha. Namo Pankajanaabhaya Nama Pankajamaline Nama Pankajanitraya Namaste Pankajangriye. Hare Krishna, dear Vaishnavas, thank you so much for joining. We are reading Granth-raj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Parama Ananda Pathaya, Prema Varshi Aksharayate, Sarvada Sarvasevyaya, Shri Krishnaya Namastute. We are reading the topmost treasure of the holy scriptures, which bestows Parama Ananda Pathaya, topmost happiness, and is showering the rains of love of Godhead. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is at every Parama Prema Varshi Aksharayat. Every akshar, every syllable is showering Krishna Prema, because it is non-different from Krishna. To that Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, to that Sri Hari, I offer my humble obeisance. So we are reading Canto 7, Chapter 13, the behavior of a perfect person. We're almost towards the end of this chapter. Today we will complete this chapter. We have 4 more verses to go. And we discussed about yesterday the characteristics, the eating habits, dressing habits, sleeping habits, traveling, etc. for the Avaduta Brahmana. And not to criticize others. We discussed about the 5 types of people, and we should try to look on the good in others and ignore the bad. So let's see what happens next. Text number 43. Vikalpam juhuyat chittau tam manasi artha vibrami mano vaikarike hutva tam mayayam juhoti anu. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. The mental concoction of discrimination between good and bad should be accepted as one unit and then invested in the mind, which should then be invested in the false ego. The false ego should be invested in the total material energy. This is the process of fighting false discrimination. Purport. This verse describes how a yogi can become free from material affection. Because of material attraction, a karmi cannot see himself. Jnanis can discriminate between matter and spirit, but the yogis, the best of whom are the bhakti yogis, want to return back to Godhead. The karmis are completely in illusion. The jnanis are neither in illusion nor in positive knowledge. But the yogis, especially the bhakti yogis, are completely on the spiritual platform, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 14:26. Mamcha yo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatitya brahma bhuyaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down under any circumstance, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. Thus a devotee's position is secure. A devotee is at once elevated to the spiritual platform. Others, such as Jnanis and Hatha yogis, can only gradually ascend to the spiritual platform by nullifying their mental discrimination on the platform of psychology and nullifying the false ego. by which one thinks, I am this body, a product of matter. One must merge the false ego into the total material energy and merge the total material energy into the supreme energetic. This is the process of becoming free from material attraction. So, the idea here is to give up the mental concoction between good and bad and and engage. Prabhupada is distinguishing between the karmis or materialistic, whose only focus is sense gratification. Then one level up is jnanis, who can understand the difference between body and soul. But the topmost amongst yogis are the bhakti yogis, who engage their mind, body, senses, consciousness in the service of the master of the senses. Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchyate. That's the topmost bhakti. And by doing so, one's intelligence, one's false ego, one's mind, one's senses, everything is brought under control. Everything is merged into the true master to whom it belongs to. So that is the idea of transcending the false discrimination by connecting ourselves to Krishna consciousness. And in that way, we can be free from all these dualities which we discussed before. The dressing, the eating, the praise, and oh, someone didn't praise me, oh, someone criticized me. A devotee is free from all those dualities. Today I was hearing a lecture, Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to say, until one comes to the platform of a manina manadena, Vinadapi Sunichena, one cannot make spiritual progress. So that is the real platform. And by engaging in the process of Bhakti Yoga, as mentioned here, how should we do? Vyavasatmika, avyabhicharena. Avyabhicharena without deviation, single pointed attention. That person is completely engaged in Krishna consciousness, full devotional service, will not fall down in health or disease, in poverty or wealth, in family or bachelor life, any situation, India or America. One must render Bhakti Yoga. That is the most easiest and sublime process in this day and age for all of us. Any other comments, questions anyone has in this? Okay, let's read text 44. Has everyone read? Yes, Nandini Mataji, you want to read?
Yes, Prabhu, I would like to read. Thank you so much. Please accept my humble obeisances. Text 44. Atmanubhuto tam mayam juhuyat satyangru munihi tato niriho virmeta swanubhutyatmani stita. A learned, thoughtful person must realize that material existence is illusion. This is possible only by self-realization. A self-realized person who has actually been the truth should retire from all material activities, being situated in self-realization. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. By an analytical study of the entire constitution of the body, one can surely come to the conclusion that the soul is different from all the body's material constituents, such as earth, water, fire, and air. Thus, the difference between the body and soul can be realized by a person who is thoughtful, Manushi or Muni. And after this realization of the individual spirit soul, one can very easily understand the supreme spirit soul. If one thus realizes that the individual soul is subordinate to the supreme spirit soul, he achieves self-realization. As explained in the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, there are two souls within the body. The body is called Kshetra, and there are two Kshetragyas, or occupants of the body, namely the super soul, Paramatma, and the individual soul. The supreme soul and the individual soul are like two birds sitting on the same tree. The material body, one bird, the individual, forgetful bird, is eating the fruit of the tree. not caring for the instructions of the other bird, which is only a witness to the activities of the first bird, who is his friend. When the forgetful bird comes to understand the Supreme Friend who is always with him and trying to give him guidance in different bodies, he takes shelter at the lotus feet of that Supreme Bird. As explained in the yoga process, dhyana, sorry, I can read. Dhyana vastitha tad gatena manasva manasa pashyayanti yam yoginaha. When one actually becomes a perfect yogi by meditation, he can see the Supreme Friend and surrender unto him. This is the beginning of Bhakti Yoga, or actual life in Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada always brings us to this wonderful point about how this is the basis, this is the foundation, this is the um, 1 plus 1 equal to 2, that foundational equation in mathematics. That we are not this body and we are the spirit soul, and this body has two souls within it, soul and super soul. And this body is kshetra, and kshetragya um, is the paramatma, is the super soul. And the individual soul has to follow the direction of the supreme soul. And this point comes again and again. If you read, I was reading today Science of Self Realization. Prabhupada is talking with the lieutenants, he's talking with the priest, and he's always bringing back to the basics. And he also said in one of the places that um, yes, there are some people who follow this Christianity, but I have not seen a real Christian. A real Christian would follow you thou shall not kill command. And it was so powerful that that person just got stunned. And again, this it brings me to the, I can see the similarity between this purport and that purport. It just, Prabhupada just so clearly explains, it just hits the point, it just pierces you like a arrow, it really makes that point. And he also talks about how a learned, thoughtful person must realize the material existence and illusion. And he, in the end, he says that what is the beginning of Bhakti Yoga? When one actually becomes a perfect yogi, he can see the Supreme Friend and surrender unto him. So Bhagavad Gita also says, surrender unto me. And Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam here on this purport, Prabhupada is also saying, we have to surrender to Krishna. And then our process of Bhakti Yoga will begin. Back to you, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mataji, for sharing wonderful reflections and Prabhupada's words. So thoughtful, the word used is thoughtful. Or these days they say mindful. Mindful eating, mindful, or being conscious, or being self-aware. All these basically mean the same thing. It means to be conscious, to be aware of what we are doing. Not just do something because everyone is doing, not just eat something because everyone is eating, not just develop certain habits because everyone is doing. That's less intelligent. That's not being thoughtful. If everyone is doing something, that's called the herd mentality. Animals follow that mentality. But human beings have more intelligence. So they should be more thoughtful. Otherwise, what's the purpose of human form of life? And now, to be more thoughtful does not mean to make more money, to develop more plans to make more money, or to better gadgets, or better, homes, cars. Because the essence is to use that time, energy, thoughtfulness, intelligence for Krishna consciousness, to understand the real reality of life. Who am I? Who is God? What is my purpose here? Is the life just meant to, take birth, take some education, make some money, get some husband, wife, children, and then the end? What is the purpose? Animals also have the similar life. They also get birth, they have husband, wife, children. Some live on the trees, some live in the burrows. but essentially they are also living in a place. The place of residence may differ. The elephant may live in the jungle, the pig may live in the gutter, very happy, but they are happy there. The human may live in the home, but the essential principle is same. So why is human life more precious? Because of its special intelligence. It is the karma yoni to make Krishna as our true friend. Prabhupada is writing this. He is there, willing to be our friend. How much are we ready to accept his friendship? He is our eternal friend. Ami bina bandhu ar ke ache tumar. Who could be more better well-wisher than the Supreme Lord? He never leaves us. Always there. But the problem is I turn away from him. I think, oh, my wealth is my better friend. I think my friends and so-called friends, so-called relatives are my dear friend. I think my degrees is my true friend. They will save me. I think my home will save me. I forget that Krishna is my real friend. That's the root cause of all the problems. So one should be thoughtful. If one is genuinely thoughtful, if one is genuinely seeking the right path, Krishna will arrange for him or her to come to the right path of Bhakti Yoga and the right Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. And then that's all bliss. That's self-realization. Any other comments, questions anyone has?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I have a question here. Prabhupada telling, if one does realizes that the individual soul is subordinate to the Supreme Spirit soul, he achieves self-realization. So that we the devotees actually from Gita and so many years of association with the devotees clearly know that we are part and parcel of the Supreme Soul. So can we call ourselves self-realization, realized, or it is something beyond that?
It's a very good point, Prabhu. I can speak for myself because I know my situation. See, theoretically knowing this statement is one thing, but realizing that statement is totally another level. Theoretically knowing I am not the body, I am the spirit soul. But realizing means all my actions are completely focused on my true constitutional position. If someone disrespects me, I get angry. Hey, why dare you say this to me? Well, if I am totally self-realized, then I would not feel agitated because I am just a servant of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord arranged this for me, so why I am getting agitated? Are all my activities completely on the spiritual platform? Am I not wasting even a single moment which is not aligned with Krishna consciousness? Then am I doing all the things to please Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, to please the spiritual master, to please Srila Prabhupada? Then I can call myself self-realized. At this point, I cannot call myself self-realized. I can say, I'm trying to follow the path which Srila Prabhupada has given. I have a lot of shortcomings. Theoretically, I understand this statement, but I have not internalized that. But I'm trying to practice. I'm trying to take baby steps. Hopefully one day, with my endeavor and Krishna's mercy, I may be able to reach that state. Does that answer, Prabhu?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Yes, thank you very much.
Anyone wants to add to that point or any corrections? Okay. Prabir Prabhu, you want to read text 45?
Yes, Prabhu. Dandavad Pranam. Hare Krishna devotees, Dandavad Pranam. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Text 45. Savatma britam maya itham te shuguptam api bornitam vyapetam loka shasrabhyayam Bhavan hi Bhagavat para. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Prahlad Maharaj, you are certainly a self-realized soul and a devotee of the Supreme Lord. You do not care for public opinion or so-called scriptures. For this reason, I have described to you without hesitation the history of my self-realization. A person who is actually a devotee of Kṛṣṇa does not care about so-called public opinion and Vedic or philosophical literatures. Prahlad Maharaj, who is such a devotee, always defied the false instructions of his father and the so-called teachers who were appointed to teach him. Instead, he simply followed the instructions of Narad Muni, his guru, and thus he always remained a stalwart devotee. This is the nature of an intelligent devotee. The Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam instructs, Yajñe sankirtana prayer jajante hi sumedhasa. One who actually very intelligent must join the Krishna conscious movement, realizing his own self as an eternal servant of Krishna, and thus practice constant chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So here the Abhudutta, the person, he is telling Prahlad Maharaj why he explained to him about his self-realization. And we heard from previous verses, and just now Shubhilash Prabhu explained very nicely that not only it is enough to know that we are spirit soul, and not only to avoiding any kind of duality, means becoming happy with any good things or becoming sad or with the bad things. It is just by knowing theoretically is not enough, but to practice in our own life, that is the most important. And that's why he told Prahlad Maharaj, because, and he gave the reason why, because he understood Prahlad Maharaj is a self-realized soul and the devotee of the Supreme Lord. And Srila Prabhupada explained further here that Prahlad Maharaj didn't care about any kind of Vedic instructions. Because we know that when Hiranyakashipu was specifying his mother after the death of Hiranyaksha, we can see that he was telling all the nice words from the Vedas, that the soul is different from the body, and he was saying all these things. But at the same time, we see that he was not practicing that. That's why even though in spite of he conquered everything, he couldn't conquer his senses because he didn't practice. And Srila Prabhupada mentioning it here. Why Prahlad Maharaj? Because he followed the instructions of his guru Narad Muni. So that's one of the instruction, I think, for myself, that follow the instructions of Srila Prabhupada or Acharyas. And I was thinking that minimum instructions, Prabhupada says, chanting the 16 round nicely, and or reading his books, at least minimum, then go for his other instructions or preaching or practicing devotional service together. So a lot of instructions there, but to me, I was thinking those are the instructions I can think. And Prabhupada is telling us how we can be self-realized like Prahlad Maharaj by following the instructions of the Guru. And then Prabhupada is mentioning here that Jagge Sankirtana Prayar Jajanti Hishume Dosha. That verse which actually proclaimed or predict Sriman Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance, and it is said in that verse that in this era the main Jagga is going to be Sankirtan Jagga, and those who are Shumedhasha, those who are very intelligent, they will take part in that Sankirtan Jagga. So it looks like from here, what my understanding is, Prabhupada's first instruction is like chant nicely minimum 16 rounds and then follow the 4 regulative principles and read his books. Hare Krishna Prabhu, back to you. Please add or correct.
Thank you so much, Prabir Prabhu, for sharing. Let's take some example. Let's take some examples. Do not care for so-called public opinion. Would someone like to give maybe 1 or 2 examples? And a few devotees share what examples would fit in for our scenario. We should not care for so-called public opinion. Anyone would like to share an example or 2? Yes, Nandini Mataji, please.
Hare Krishna. Bhaktitirtha Swami, he used to preach to kings in Africa, and he didn't used to wear the robes, sannyasi robes. He did the preaching, and he had extremely successful preaching. And a lot of people appreciated him later, that his opinion about not wearing Vaishnava dress for outside preaching was right. But maybe some people did not understand at the time. Thank you very much. Back to you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Ekant Prabhu, you were saying something?
Yeah, Prabhu, this is just an opinion, Prabhu, my personal reflection. Could say that when we say that, like when we are talking to other people around us and say that we are practicing bhakti yoga, or when we are saying that we eat sattvic food, oftentimes they say like, okay, oh, that's too bad that you're not enjoying the food, or you're not relishing the food. It's in a way, it is, we are doing what we are good for our souls, where the other person is like just enjoying the senses. I felt like it's more like you're not thinking what they are saying, but you are thinking what your gurus are telling us to do, which is right for our soul.
Thank you.
So that's what I was.
Very apt. Yeah, people will say, hey, why do you eat just these foods? Or what is this offering thing going on? Why don't you come to for a restaurant party, or this party or that party? We will have fun, this, that. Okay, we say, yes. You are right. And then the right time will come. They will take if Krishna inspires. You don't have to, publicly say, oh, you are wrong and you don't know what's good. Based on situations, we have to see. Any other examples? Do not care for so-called public. Yes, Prabir Prabhu, which is relevant for our situation. Yes.
One of the important thing, actually, we can see from Srila Prabhupada's example. I was just recently reading that when Prabhupada sent the 3 couples to London, and he mentioned that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he sent some of his, but they didn't chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. They went to like universities, they met different aristocratic families and gave them speech. So here we can see, I mean, I can tell you from Bangladesh, from my, that we can chant in our house, inside house, but chanting outside, like in the marketplaces or in the different festivals, going out, the devotees has to go through a lot of a different attitude from the general people. Even I saw one time with one of our member here in Keshava Prabhu. Some people were spitting on him. We went to chanting for in the game, college game in UF, and some people were spitting on him. Definitely they were drunk actually, but he didn't care. Actually, he was chanting enthusiastically. And we saw that Srila Prabhupada started that also. He didn't care. He just started with a just a drum, and he started chanting in Tompkins Square Park. So that is one thing, like even what public says, they didn't care. And the devotees are still going like that. So that we can see. The other example it came to my mind, I mean, we can see from Srila Prabhupada's dedication. Before Srila Prabhupada, none of the Gauriya Vaishnavism, they were in any kind of like social things like giving marriage. And Prabhupada even says that they call me, I am a marriage shami. Because to establish the system, he actually makes sure he asks his disciple to get married instead of living together. So he didn't care about what Vedic or other literature says. With time and circumstances, he thought that is the best thing. And we see that that was really the best thing he did he established the rules and regulation. So that those are the two examples came to my mind. Hare Krishna Prabhu, back to you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you. Especially in this day and age, people will say, hey, why you do this? Bhakti is meant for, you chant this Japa Mala. Well, people at the age of 60 must do it. Everyone has their own opinion, which is often guided by their poor intelligence and misdirected mind. But if we keep hearing everyone's opinions who don't know what is right and what is wrong, how can they help us? So whose opinion we must hear? The answer is given right here. Like Prahlad simply followed the instructions of Narad Muni. We have to follow the instructions of Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Srila Prabhupada, our spiritual master, our Diksha Guru, Shiksha Gurus. Then we will be going to the right path. If we follow any Tom, Dick, Harry's opinion, then we will be misguided. So therefore, we need to check with Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. And then we will go back to Godhead. Let's read the last verse. Puna Mataji, you want to read this last verse?
Prabhuji, you have to share the screen.
Oh, I have to share the screen.
Yeah, I will. If not, I can skip.
I can share. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. So very soon, I will not have to share the screen because you will get your Bhagavatam set. Haribol.
Haribol, Prabhuji.
Okay, yes, please.
Sri Narada Uvacha. Hare Krishna, everybody. Sri Narada Uvacha. Dharma paramhansya vai mune shrutva sureshwara puja yitva tata prita amantraya prayayai griham. Translation by His Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Narad Muni continued, after Prahlad Maharaj, the king of the demons, heard this instruction from the saint, he understood the occupational duties of a perfect person, Paramhansa. Thus he duly worshipped the saint, took his permission, and then left for his own home. Purport. As quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, a guru or spiritual master can be anyone who is well conversant with the science of Krishna. Therefore, although Prahlad Maharaj was a grihastha ruling over the demons, he was Paramhansa, the best of human beings. And thus, he is our guru. In the list of gurus or authorities, Prahlad Maharaj's name is therefore mentioned. The conclusion is that Paramhansa is an exalted devotee, Bhagvat Priya. Such a Paramhansa may be in any stage of life, brahmachari, grahastha, vanaprastha, or sannyasa, and be equally liberated and exalted. Thus, the Vaikuntha, thus in the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 7th canto, 13th chapter of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam entitled The Behavior of a Perfect Person. Back to you, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
So the last verse, basically Narad Muni again, he was narrating this whole story. The story comes to a happy ending. Prahlad Maharaj worships this great saint, the Avaduta, who has narrated his historical process of self-realization. So it's another great lesson that we must hear the biographies, autobiographies of great sadhus, saints. That gives a lot of inspiration. Prabhupada Lilamrit, so many wonderful pastimes, which gives so much inspiration. Because we need role models. We need to hear about their stories, their life, how they took shelter of Krishna, how they underwent so many trials and tribulations but never gave up the path of bhakti. So Prahlad Maharaj is also here learning from this great Avaduta Brahmana, heard his instructions, understood his occupational duties, and then finally the Kiba Vipra Kiba Nyasa. Vipra means Brahmana, Nyasi, Sannyasi, Shudra. So rather one could be in Brahmachari, Vanaprastha, Sannyasa, or Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, or Grihastha. All these are externals. Ye Kṛṣṇa Tattvaveti, Krishna Tattvaveti, one who knows the science of Krishna consciousness, say Guru Hoy, that person is fit to become a spiritual master. Even though one be born in a Chandala family. Haridas Thakur was not born in a great family. Jagai and Madai didn't have a great background. Laksha Hira, the prostitute, didn't have a great background. So many examples, so many Prabhupada disciples didn't have a great background. But they became self-realized souls. Why? Yet Krishna Tattvaveti. They understood the science of Krishna consciousness by following the great spiritual master. So there is hope for us as well. Let's do a quick summary of this chapter. This chapter is entitled The Behavior of a Perfect Person. In the last 2 chapters, we discussed about the 4 varnas and then the 4 ashramas. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, and then Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas. Now here, the qualities of sannyasi or a behavior of a perfect person is mentioned. Well, one may say, well, how does it apply to me? Why should I study about it? Okay, we don't need to be a sannyasi by dress, but the principles do apply. His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Swami Maharaj says that everyone should be a sannyasi, not by dress, but by consciousness. Consciousness is very important. Simple living, high thinking. So let's study. This chapter opens up with the qualities of sannyasi. And then from text 1 to 10 talk about these qualities of sannyasi. 1 to 3 talk about the conduct, that how sannyasi is detached. He is not dependent on anything material because he is dependent on Kṛṣṇa. He travels. He does not have a fixed place. He is Parivrajaka. He's traveling from one place to another. The Goswamis were traveling from one tree to another, one village to another, not living in a 10-bedroom mansion on a beach. And then he wears simple clothes. He hardly has any necessities. Whatever he has, basically, whatever Krishna arranges, he accepts that. Wandering alone, not dependent on any person, and very, very important quality, completely satisfied in the self, Atma Rama. And he's a well-wisher of all living beings, Sarva Bhuta Suhrit. He is not an enemy. He's not just a well-wisher of those who are kind to us. To be kind to those who are kind to us is very easy. It doesn't take a great person. But to be a well-wisher of those who are not kind to us, yes, that needs a lot of self-realization. Peaceful and completely surrendered to Narayana Parayana. Completely surrendered to Lord Narayana. And then his consciousness is explained that he is seeing Lord Krishna everywhere because everything is a cause and effect coming from Lord Krishna. He does not see anything material or spiritual. He only sees Krishna because everything is coming. He's the Adi, he's the cause of all causes. Parama Krishna Sachidana Ananda Vigraha and Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. Sabhi Karano ke Karan. Sarva Karana Karanam. He's the cause of all causes. Therefore, that person in pure consciousness sees Krishna everywhere and understands the self during the deep sleep, and the 3 stages of sleep are mentioned, and observes the power of time, that how by the power of time everything comes to an end. And then his qualities are explained. That one should not become a professional teacher or indulge in arguments and take sides. Just learning for the sake of learning or to prove I am better, that's not the idea. Learning vidya dadati vinayam. Learning should make us humble. If that learning makes us proud, oh, I know more verses than Vamsivilas Prabhu. Oh, I give better class than Prabir Prabhu. Then that's such a big obstacle on the path of Krishna consciousness, because learning is supposed to make us humble. If that learning gives us more pride, then to hell with that learning. Better one just just do menial services and be Krishna conscious and humble. Disciples, books, temples, etc. If one does not has the right consciousness, they could also be an obstacle. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya said, "Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim." I do not want followers. I do not want wealth, opposite sex, etc. What do I want? Mam janmani janmanishware bhavatar bhaktir ahetuki tvai. So these qualities of sannyasis are explained. Then everyone wants to see some examples, because Shukdev Goswami and Narada Muni and Prahlad Maharaj, they all know that Kali Yuga beings like stories. So therefore, Prahlad Maharaj meets a Brahmana, and this conversation begins from text 11, that sages tell a historical example. So basically, Narad Muni is telling this whole story to Yudhishthir Maharaj, because Yudhishthir Maharaj had asked about the Varna Ashrama Dharma. And in this, like a story within a story. So Narad Muni and Yudhishthir Maharaj are talking. They give the example of Prahlad Maharaj and this Avaduta Brahmana. So this Prahlad Maharaj and this Avaduta Brahmana meet, and Prahlad Maharaj was no ordinary devotee, and that's another great quality of Narada Muni, who's glorifying his own disciple Prahlad. because he is not just a disciple, he is a great Mahajan as well. Once upon a time, on the Sevaya mountain, Prahlad Maharaj met the saintly person on the ground, covered with dust, feeding himself like a python, Ajgar Vritti. By his activities, bodily features, words, people did not understand whether he was some person they knew. So he was not a normal person as per worldly standards, covered with dust, like a python, you know. It's not a normal situation. And common man would not be able to understand who that person is. But Prahlad, it takes one to know one. Prahlad was a great devotee, so he worshipped that saintly person, touching his feet on with his head. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevya. He did pranipata. First he worshipped, he understood this person is not an ordinary person. Then he will inquire. Then he inquired submissively. Very, very important. By understanding the features, Prahlad could understand this is a great soul. So Prahlad asked, if I say in the paraphrase that Prahlad, as you do not work or earn your livelihood, you have a very strong body, you are quite fat, like that of materialistic enjoyer. And you have no money for sense gratification, how come you are so fat? Very genuine question. And then he said a very nice thing. Then if you think my question is not impudent, please answer. So very nicely he inquired, not to say, hey, I am thin, you are fat, or I am better than you. No, first he pranipat. First he surrendered unto that great soul. Then the Brahmana glorifies Prahlad Maharaj because he was asking very sweetly, in a very kind way. From text number 21 onwards, the Brahmana starts to speak and first glorifies the Prahlad and his character and his pure devotion, his bhakti, etc. And he says, well, you know everything, but I will still share for my self-purification. Now, it's another very good point that the Brahmana is not feeling, hey, you have come to me. The master does not feel that I am the master of the disciple. The master feels that Srila Prabhupada felt that all of you, the disciples, you are giving me chance to purify myself to serve my Guru because my Guru told me to come and preach in the Western world. So the Guru never feels that I am the boss of my dependents. The Guru feels I am the servant of my dependents. For my self-purification, whatever I am doing. It's a very, very important point here in text number 23. Then the Brahmanas describe the futility of material happiness. Very, very important verses that everyone is searching for happiness in this material world, struggling so hard. Nana yonishu, moving in the yonis, different yonis, thousands of yonis, running after this mriga trishna, after this allurements. We discussed the example of the musk deer. We discussed that human life is a junction. We are caught up in this pavarga, pa, fa, bha, bha, ma. Parishram, hard labor. Fa, fena, one is foaming till the mouth. Ba is byartha. After all, they used to steal it. Government takes it after the end, or even after the death, someone will take it. It all goes vyartha, futile. Bha, so much fear. 100 different types of insurance, health insurance, property insurance, mortgage insurance, weather insurance, flood insurance, tax insurance. Oh my God, 100 types of insurance. Why? Fear. What if this happens? What if that happens? And ultimately, in all that, pa, fa, bha, ba, ma, comes mrityu, the time of death. And then he says, well, I have given up all those things. Why? Because I understood their futility. The Brahmana is replying, I saw that man and women are uniting for sex pleasure, but ultimately they end up in frustration. Everything. This is chapala sukhala bhalagi re. This is not the real happiness. I don't want to serve the wicked senses. And the conditioned souls forgets the self-interest. Because of forgetfulness of one's relationship with Krishna, one forgets the real self-interest and serves the false interest, thinking I am the body. And then the futile search of happiness. One is searching, searching, searching. Ultimately, the deer is killed by the hunter and he takes away the musk. Similarly, you're searching, oh, I'll get happiness in America. Oh, new car will give me happiness. Oh, new home will give me happiness. Oh, new wife will give me happiness. New country will give me happiness. Ultimately, nothing gives happiness. Just the death comes nearer and the futility of And not just that, it brings a lot of bhaya or insecurity. The beggars will take it, the time will take it, the government will take it. Intelligent person must give up. And then he talks about the two gurus, the bee and the python. The bee makes a big beehive, but after all, she's quite detached. She doesn't commit suicide when her beehive is taken. Hi, 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 hi. Oh, my beehive is taken. I'll give my life. And she makes one more. A lot of people, when they lose something material, we discussed that when wealth is gone, people think everything is gone. They commit suicide. They go in depression. And then the Python is teaching satisfaction. One should be satisfied. Paritushtatma. Then the lifestyle of Brahmana was discussed, how he eats. Basically, simple food stuff. One should not eat too opulent. And how he should dress. Simple dressing to cover the body. The purpose of dress is to cover the body, not to expose the body, and not to wear like very, very expensive, opulent clothes. It should be simple, and should always remember that we are representing our mission, we are representing Prabhupada. So simple living, high thinking. Same with sleeping. We don't need a $10,000 mattress to sleep. One can sleep on a simple mattress as well. Uh, Same with travel. And then finally, in the last four verses, which we studied today, one should not criticize others. One should always try to look for good in others. And finally, take shelter of the process of Bhakti Yoga. And the chapter comes to a closing, that how Prahlad Maharaj worshipped him and left for his own home. So much learnings are there in this wonderful chapter. So this is a quick summary of chapter 13 entitled Behavior of a Perfect Person. Any thoughts, comments, additions? Questions? Okay. Okay, so maybe we can take some reflections on Monday. As you know, Saturday, Sunday is guest speakers classes. So we can take some reflections, and we will also do hopefully a quiz for chapter 13. And tomorrow and day after, tomorrow His Grace Governor Raj Prabhu will be speaking, and day after Her Grace Ragatmika Mataji. So don't miss those classes as well. Yes, Rakesh Prabhu, you want to speak something, please?
Yeah, so you explain very nicely, Prabhu. When I hear lectures or when I was in association, I feel so comfortable, nice to hear, and I thought I should follow everything. But once comes out of that lectures or associations, some force will move here and there. So how can I practice constant progress, step by step? So
thank you, Prabhu, for your genuine question. Yes, that's very correct. That when we are in association of devotees, we are very, very inspired, nurtured by the power of unity. Helps us. So a few things we must try to associate regularly. Number one, like how we have this Bhagvatam call, or we must associate regularly. And association does not mean just with physical presence. Now, especially with the temple, close or physical meetings are very, very limited, almost nil. I was talking to one devotee, and he also mentioned that now this is a time of our test. Do we really want to practice Krishna consciousness? So we should take some challenge. We should take it as a challenge. Krishna is testing me. In this time of test, COVID is a test for me to show my sincerity to Krishna. That yes, there are some obstacles that I can't go to meet devotees as much as I would like to, or can't go to the temples and be in the temple and attend those festivals which I was attending before. So yes, it is a test. So we must first of all, we must make a very healthy schedule. That's something which one of my teachers told me, and I try my best to follow it. Of course, I am still learning and I have a lot of room for improvement. But he said that make a tight schedule. Tight schedule means it should include your work, your health, your spiritual health, your bodily health, your family, your cooking, offering. So make a nice schedule, and then as soon as the Maya of sense enjoyment will come, Maya will say, okay, let's do this thing. And then you say, okay, Maya, I'll do first, let me finish my schedule. Like how Haridas Thakur formula. Maya came, hey, I want to enjoy with you. Haridas Thakur said, okay, I have this thing to do. Let me do this thing, then I will enjoy with you. He didn't say no. So if you have a tight schedule, that means no room for inappropriate things or things which are not conducive. So that's one thing. And our regular sadhana, our reading, hearing, chanting sincerely, preferably in the morning hours, all those things will give us strength to fight. It's like a vaccine. The world is trying to find vaccine for COVID. But the vaccine for our protection from Maya or materialistic association, which is not good for us, is our sadhana. Good hearing, good reading, good chanting, prayerful mood, praying to the deities or altar or any picture you have. So all those things will help us to immunize ourselves. So even that we go in the outside world, we will not be pulled by the pressures. Rather, we will be satisfied internally that I have the best thing. Rather, we will say, okay, this is not good for me. I know this is not good for me, so I must not even look at that. Does that help, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, and one more thing. In Saturdays and the weekends also, there's this, even Monday to Friday, pretty much occupied in the work. But Saturday, Sundays, there's a lot of free time. So
Yes.
if I go to, there are a lot of inputs will come into the mind, especially in the weekend. If I go to play for tennis and talking with friends, so that is debating a lot. And once Monday comes again, the commitment will decrease slowly. So, for example, if I full Saturday Sunday, I cannot spend full 10 hours, 12 hours on completely bhakti, right? So, practical way, how can I improve that?
Yeah. I mean, playing tennis is not bad. I'm not saying don't play tennis. I said completely take care of your health. It could be doing yoga, it could be playing tennis, it could be doing running. Engage in fruitful things. And let's say you have desire to watch a movie, then watch Ramayana, Mahabharata. Okay, agreed, one may not be at the level of engaging. Take up some service. Take up some service. There are so many services there. Even doing like service from home, so many options are there. So many things you can use your intelligence. You're a software engineer. You can do a lot for Krishna. Then read more. Of course, weekend means we should do more. Okay, I'm not saying 12 hours, but on a normal day, if one is doing 1 hour, we can do 2 hours on weekends. More reading, more hearing, more chanting, more taking care of the health, doing your grocery shopping and clothes and all that. Do cook some extra. Try to learn some productive things, like you can learn cooking, develop, constructive habits. Let's say you like gardening. Let's say you like cooking. Develop constructive habits which will help you in your Krishna conscious, directly or indirectly also. Watching movie, watching Netflix, not the best thing. It will neither help you materially, it will neither help you spiritually. So we should minimize those. That's my humble suggestion.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Okay, I think it's already 9 p.m. It's Friday. Anyone else has any other comments, questions?
Prabhuji,
Prabhuji,
sorry, go ahead, Mataji.
I will just add one more, that whatever material activities we are doing, we just try to concentrate our heart on the Maha Mantra. Gradually, just make the practice of chanting inside the heart, and it will save you from the unnecessary flow of thoughts. And if we practice, either we are even doing our material activities, which take us to the kind of mental, what you call it, a mental foundation. But if we practice chanting inside our heart, it will surely always keeps us driving towards the bhakti, towards it will save us from the unnecessary unwanted things. It will help in purifying, and gradually our mind will be more concentrated towards Krishna. That's what I feel, that keep chanting inside whatever you're doing, but always somewhere you tell yourself that I have to take the name of Krishna constantly inside my heart. So it will guide you through. It will really show you the light, what you have to do. This is what I can feel.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And your sincerity shows how you're speaking this from your heart. Mata Yashoda formula. Yani yani ha Gitani tadbala charitani cha. She would do Dadi Manthan and she would chant Krishna's pastime. So very, very bona fide. Thank you. Yes, Vamsivilas Prabhu, you were sharing something.
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I just wanted to understand how Prahlad Maharaj was satisfied with the answer from the Python man regarding his initial question of how he is very big, though he self-realized. I think it is explained with all this, what he said, but I'm still not able to connect that to self-realization and the explanation he has given. So Prabhuji, maybe I'll think of
Atmaram, half the problems happen because of lack of satisfaction. The story of Lota Baba, one who is experiencing the joy of bhakti, is always satisfied. We know the story of Raghunath Das Goswami, Prabir Prabhu shared in one lecture. He mentally ate the kheer and he was suffering from overeating. He got indigestion. So these are not ordinary people. Their level of bhakti is so high. So it's not that they will go skinny if 2 days they will not eat. They are at a very high level, always absorbed in Krishna's name form qualities. So that's what self-realization shows, that they don't care. Okay, the food comes, I'll take it. Okay, it doesn't come. Okay, Krishna's arrangement. They're always happy. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na shochati na kanchati. That the complete level of Parabrahman. They're always happy. Na shochati na kanchati. They're not worrying, oh, why Krishna, you didn't send me food. I will go hungry. What will happen tomorrow? I don't know if it will come tomorrow. And if one is always so happy people are always joyful. Happy people, and their body is also healthy. Because whatever is in the mind affects our body. If I'm always thinking, hey, Corona will kill me, oh, Corona will kill me, oh, Corona, then the fear of Corona will kill us. Shan Mukund Prabhu explained this point. We'll become Corona conscious. And then the next life will become Corona. Yes, we have to do the needful, but after all, taking shelter of the Krishna is the best thing. That's my limited understanding.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Very wonderfully explained. Thanks.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so it's already past time. We will continue tomorrow. Don't miss the special programs, and then I request to go through this chapter. You can read the translations and share some reflections on Monday, and then we will also have a quiz. Thank you. Grantraj, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhyeva cha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.